Hey guys, BAKD here. In today's video, we're going to go over some advanced scanning tips and tricks, what the best ship is to scan with, how to tackle, how to solo roam, you name it. We're going to go ahead and start off with my slasher interceptor here. We're going to have some clips of me scanning with a Cinnabol and doing some advanced tackling tips. But if we go into our slasher here, I chose the slasher because it has an extremely small source radius. We are at 150 meters for source radius. That is smaller than most ships. If your source radius is smaller than the ship you are scanning, then they will not get detected while trying to scan them. Now if we open up our Explorer scanner here, I have my minimum scan radius down to 90 meters, which is actually lower than I think it should be. My scan radius is 139. Now I have two of the scan radius rigs. What I would recommend is going at least 1 and 1, or going for two of the other rigs down here, electronic. So it is going to be the emission scope. This reduces your source radius to be much smaller, to say the least. You will be able to scan pretty much any small frigate, and they will not detect you if you have that low enough. The slasher is one of the smallest interceptors out of all of them, and that's why I'm using that currently. Now, if you are tackling or setting up to be the tackle, you need to make your ship the fastest it possibly can be. Now, if you're tackling like drone boats and stuff, you have to be faster than the drones. So first off, let's go into drones really quick. Now, the fastest medium drone, which most people will be using, is a Mark 9 Valkyrie. These go up to 3,000 meters a second. They are extremely fast, but you want to be faster than that. Anywhere from 45 to 5,000 is my recommended speed, so they won't catch you. If you see, Mark 9 Warriors are the fastest small drones, and you have to have over 5,000 meters a second if you want to stay away from them. My slasher goes up to 5,200 meters a second, and I can take tank drone boats at a safe 20 kilometers. Now for tackling wise, I have two Predator disruptors here. This gives me a 34 kilometer range if I miss my warp. There will be some advanced tips on how to tackle somebody with a Cinnabol or with other ships, and I'll have a few examples of that soon enough. But on my Cinnabol, I had a scram, and I think popping a disruptor on is better because you don't always warp right on top of the person. Now, I will go over my slasher build in a different video, but pretty much it is a ranged fit. I can hit up to 25 kilometers, and I can tackle people. I don't have the best DPS, but this is a tackle slasher, and yeah, it tackles people. Now if we go to the market, we're just going to go over it quickly. How do I get a scanner? Now if you're doing tier 7 anomalies, they drop off interbus and ore ships. You can get the Mark 7, or if you go to Mark 9, you can get a Mark 9s. Now the Scholar and the Explorer here, you can get both of these from medium storyline chest, and you can go down here and do supply chest. It is all the medium ones: Devout, Soldier, Investor, Survivor, all that good stuff. So let's go into the modules again. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the Mark 7. Now if you scroll down, the minimum scan radius on this is 280 meters before any skills or whatnot. So that's not an accurate representation until you have it equipped onto your ship. But if we go to the Explorer and just see the difference, it has a 30 meters minimum scan radius reduction. So that means you can scan smaller ships with the larger resonance scanner. Especially with the Mark 7, you might need multiple rigs. You will also be detected by more people. Let's say you're a cruiser going around scanning other cruisers, and this one might not pick up some if you don't have any skills, or it will just immediately alert them. So my recommendation is going with the Explorer or the Scholar here. It's not too much of a difference. 260 versus 230 is actually a huge difference. 280, yeah, so the Explorer one is much better, especially when, well, I guess you can get the Explorer and skip the rigs that I got. Now, rigging this ship, I went with 2 minimum scan radius rigs here. Now, this probably wasn't the best option because I can already scan ships all the way down to 90 meters, which there are no ships below 90, I'm pretty sure. So what I would do is I'm going to swap this. Let's just see if I have the other rig. So if we look at our source radius, 115. And nope, not that one. Not that one. We are going to go with a source radius here to lower our radius to 101 meters. So now pretty much nothing is going to detect us. I'm pretty sure there's no ship smaller than this unless they have 3 tier 3 rigs like this. I'm probably going to go get a tier 3 one to reduce it even further. But if we go back and look at our unit, we are at a minimum scan radius of 107. So that is pretty good, 107. So if somebody else had a slasher interceptor like me at 101, they will detect me when I'm scanning them and I may not pick them up. Alright, so let's go into skills really quick and my recommended skills for scanning. You go under natural science, exploration, and we have 3 different categories: the advanced, expert, and the basic. Now, if you're getting into scanning, I would 100% recommend at least 4.3 or 4.4 just to get you started. I had a lot of skill points saved up, so I'm 5.5.3. Each of these levels give you more ability to fail your scans. You see maximum signal load +6, +9, +12. It all adds up. You also have a scanner scan radius reduction, which is definitely needed. Yeah, it goes up to +10, and then the expert, we only have +3 there. You'll see in one of my coming clips, you fail your scan at like 70 or 80, and basically you get locked out for 3 minutes. But you'll see how that works in just a minute. The greater chance you'll be able to scan somebody, the higher scanning level you should be. So, all right, so going into some of our advanced tips, a lot of story mission runners are multi-boxing right now, where they will put a frigate in the anomaly with them really far off or something. Now, if we look at like a griffin, they have a source radius of 149, so you definitely want to be below 149. I've seen a lot of shuttles in anomalies. Now, these shuttles cannot equip rigs, and they do not get attacked by the pirates. So these are very good for slapping in an anomaly or a storyline mission just to get some early detection. If we look here, our source radius on a Minmatar shuttle is 114 meters. So I need to have below that for them not to be notified. So when a story runner is, just wanting to AFK, they'll pop this in. You'll get scanned, or you'll scan them, and they'll get a notification and immediately warp out. Now, if we open up my slasher here, my source radius is 115. So it's actually 1 above where it should be. So I need a source radius reduction rig in my opinion, so I do not get detected. If we look through some of the frigates, like our Daredevil here, 138, Succubus, 129, is actually smaller than the Daredevil. The Dramiel should be the smallest one at 113. So we definitely want to have below at least that 113 mark and hope they don't have any source radius reduction rigs, and you will be able to detect them, to say the least. A worm is 148, which is the biggest. Even with one source reduction rig, I think you'd still be able to tag a worm off without them noticing. Now anything, whereas a destroyer and up, they are not going to notice you. 155. You see it just goes up from there. Source radius 291. There's pretty much no way to rig one of these to not be detected by a frigate. But if you're in a cruiser, let's just say a Cinnable, for example, this has a smaller source radius at 221. The source radius reduction rig is going to benefit this a lot because it has a large source radius. But at 221, a Phantasm at 252 will not detect you. You pop one source radius on that, and you can pretty much tag off any of these ships without them detecting. 269. 269, so you are good to tackle and solo roam, especially in Cinnable. It is one of the best ships right now to scan and roam with, just because the lowest of the faction cruisers is in the Cinnable there. First things first, you check local, make sure anybody's in there. You double tap off to the distance and immediately run your scanner. I like to pause my engine so I don't get too far away from the gate. We are detecting 3 things in this system. One of which is probably a capsuleer outpost. Pick the signal you want to scan. Usually we want to look for the little wavy lines, which if we zoom in, well, the wavy lines aren't popping up right now, but you can do something like this. Now exclude one noise signal, so that typically means it's a very large ship. Okay, so then you want to match up the signals, so you basically can slow roll through these and see which matches best. I'm matching the top of some of these grooves, and it kind of looks like this signal. Now with the exclude one noise signal, you can go one at a time, so activate this one, this one, this one. But it looks like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and scan that. Of course, it is a capsuleer outpost, a very large target. Essentially, you'd click that and hit warp to it. Now, I'm going to rescan really quick. We don't want to go over there. Okay, we still have 3 targets, so the next one here, let's check this one out. Now, typically when it's a little bit harder like this, there's 2 signals that look almost identical. Well, actually almost 3 here, so this is going to be a tough one. We need to exclude 2 noise signals, if you see at the top. So what you can do is do one at a time. So now, does this match any of the other signals? Now I'm going to try this one, and it looks like I got it. We found a retriever here. I don't think we're going to be able to take him, but essentially you'd hit warp and warp right on top of him. We are going to skip this gentleman and move on. Alright, so remember, when entering the system, you want to check local here. Now I clicked on myself, but these guys all are in different corps, which is a good thing. So immediately I want to double click off into the distance, run my scanner, and we found 3 signals. So the little wavy lines there, if you see on the scanner, that is typically the one you want to take. That is a mission or story runner. Exclude one noise signal, so this is an extremely large target. and we found an apocalypse, so we are going to skip that. Now, if we keep looking, we have somebody at the mining belt, it looks like. And this one. And it looks like we got it here. Nobody home. But that is the gist of it. If I had a crew, I would go slap that apocalypse up, but I'm going to move on. Alright, let's get some more practice here. Essentially warp Alright, let's get some more practice. Let's jump through the gate. Immediately have local ready, where you can start searching through these. Make sure they're not a bunch of people of the same corp. We have lousy salty panda here. We're gonna double click off into the distance and run our scanner. Now this is kind of a scary area because there is a Cinnable there, but immediately tap your wave thing. Now who we're looking for are people up in the distance there with those little wavy lines. Let's go ahead and analyze this guy. Now if you don't know what it is, you can go one at a time. That's not the right one. We're going to go to the next one. Not the right one. We're going to go to the next one. And that is the correct one. We have a Hurricane prototype and a Arbiter covert ops. So I'm not sure if I want to fight into that. Let's see. Let's see if they want to join us in our battle, because I'm not going to fight into two people. Okay, let's go ahead and leave our fleet. But you get the gist of it. Alright, so now we have jumping in between gates down and entering systems and looking at pretty much local to see who's there. Mr. Flaming Fish is probably scanning ahead of me, but I'm going to double click, scan, and we are going to do a nice little scan of the area with 3 signals. Okay, now if we see here, zoom out, one at the gate, looks like one is at the station, and our last one kind of pings it is at the gate. So in this system we do not have any targets, and we should probably just move on. We can try to rescan, but I think it would be pointless, because if we zoom in very close, station, gate, gate. And we definitely don't want to warp to any of those if we have a crime timer. So let's move on. Alright, so I'm in a 0.5 system. I'm just trying to find a system with lots of targets to scan. We're going to go over what the best target to warp to or try to tackle is. So we have 5 signals. That is great. We are going to open this up and we are going to look through here. So the first one, second one, so there's somebody mining. You can kind of zoom in and see they're in a mining belt with the 3 little dots. Mining belt, mining belt, So if you're looking for minors, that's good, but I'm looking for those little squiggly lines, or the, let's find that one right there. We are going to analyze his signal and look through here. Now this is going to be a tough one, so I would probably go with one of these two, just because that's how messy it looks. I'm going to try to compare some of the peaks with this one. I do have to exclude 2 noise signals. So let's go ahead and try this one. Now, does it match anything else on our list here? Now, it doesn't match this one, doesn't match this one, doesn't match this one, but this one, on the other hand, it's a little cutoff section of those wavelengths, and that should be our second one, and bam. So it's actually a retriever in the middle of nowhere. But essentially, we'd take that and we'd warp to 0, and we'll warp right on top of him. Now, we can toggle where we warp. So I'm going to say if it's a prophecy or something, I would warp around 50 to 60 kilometers, because they're typically not right on top of the anomaly. One thing we can do, so if we warp in at 100, and let's say, or we warp in at 0. Let's just say we warped in at 0 just now. So we are going to warp to this person, and we are going to see that we are 100 kilometers off of this guy. Not really sure what he's doing over here. Bunch of ancient remains. Oh, he just cashed out a belt, it looks like. So it looks like he is probably at exactly 0 on the belt. Now, if you're 100 kilometers, you don't want to just approach and burn towards him. What I would do is I would pick some sort of land source far away and like go to this anomaly. Let's go ahead and go to this anomaly. Immediately warp out, so they think that you're not going to tackle him or you don't want to fight him or something. Once we get to the anomaly, we're going to immediately rescan for that same person. Now let's go ahead and scan again. Open up our wave map. And we are going to look for that same anomaly right up there. That should be it. Yep, that should be the one. So I'm going to scan for him again. Now this is a tough one. So I'm going to go through, compare all of the waves. Now, I'm not sure. It's probably this one. And let's go with this one. Nope. So I'm going to unselect this one. And we are going to unselect this one. Now we are going to go down to, let's go ahead and try this. Okay, so now it looks like this wavelength, so that should complete our signal. And there's the retriever. So now, let's say you warped into this retriever at 0, but you noticed he was 100 kilometers away. Like I was saying, you warp to a point past where the retriever is, and then go back to him at 100 kilometers. Now, that will typically put you right where he's kiting his rats at, or if you saw he was 50 kilometers out, you go to 50 or 60, and then in most cases, if they're still there, you will warp right on top of them. I will have an example of this right after this little skit, but he was at 0 kilometers, so I'm going to immediately warp back and hit him at 0 kilometers.
Warp drive active.
Now, if he was 100 off, I would warp right on top of him, or if I did it to 0, I'd warp right on top of him, and bam, right on top of him. What do we have? What do we have? There we go. We got somebody. Okay, this is a tough one. I imagine, let's go ahead and exclude that. Bam, there we go. Oh, that wasn't right. Oh, clicked the wrong one, that's why. Tornado 2. Okay, this is actually going to be a tough fight. I don't think I'm going to land right on top of him, but we will see. Nope, way too far away.
Warp drive active.
Alright, so what we're going to do... This guy probably already warped. It is this guy. I don't think it's that wavelength. Is this the same one? Okay. Let's see if he is cocky. Got him. Whew. Set our orbit to 2 there. Pop this out. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be going over is if you do not detect somebody. So, let's say you have one person in the system, and you pop your scanner, and it says no signal waves have been detected in the system. This could mean one of 3 things. 1, they could be in the station. 2, their ship is smaller than you. Or 3, they're stealthed. So they could be under cloak somewhere and you can't find them. But let's go ahead and open up our fittings and see why we couldn't scan this person if he was a smaller ship. Now, our minimum scan radius is 155. Now, I can only scan ships that have a 155 and up signal there. So, if you have a frigate, and their source radius, if you see there, is 154, you will alert them and potentially not be able to scan them. Now, if they had greater, like 156, you'll probably pick them up, but they will detect that you're scanning them because your source radius is larger. Alright, here's a good example. We have 2 people in the system, both of which are not in the same corp, which is good. We are going to hit our scanner. And we have 1 wave signal. And if we see they are in the middle of nowhere with those little lines, that typically means that they are in a storyline or something along those lines, or a safe spot. Now, we have to go through and figure out which one the signal matches. Now, this is the tough part. Let's go ahead and try... Well, let's go ahead and just try this, see if that changes. So, that was correct. So our next one is going to match. We have to exclude 2 signals there. And bam, we got it. A Vexor Navy issue. So this Vexor is probably not right on top of the anomaly. Hopefully I warp in from the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and go to 25. Okay, I'm warping into 25. I want to have my ship menu open and ready to tackle him. Now if he is 100 kilometers off, I'm going to immediately warp off. Zooming out definitely does help. Okay, He is 60 kilometers off. I'm going to go ahead and just fly towards him because there's nothing off in the distance there. Now this guy is probably going to warp off now. Just orbit him to 0, and we missed him. So that was not a good tackle. A lot of times drone boats are harder to tackle. But what I would have done if there was something off in the distance, I would warp to the station immediately, hope he doesn't leave, and warp back at 60 kilometers where he was there. Alright, so now we are going to go over picking our targets. Now you enter a system, you hit the scan button, and you see multiple signals. What are you looking to hunt? 4 different wave signals here. Of course, I am going to zoom in. Now, one in which looks like it is in the small anomaly. Another one, if I scroll out, that one could be in the small anomaly over there or at the gate. So I'm going to pass on that one. Let's scroll out. That person is at the station over there. And this person appears like he is in the same place. So that's a tough scan. So when we pull up our signal list and go to analyze it, now if you only have one noise signal, it typically means it is a very large ship, much larger than you. Now you only have to exclude one noise signal. I already know which one it is, but let's say you're having trouble. You can go through and analyze that one. It didn't work, so we're going to restore it. We're going to go and try the next one. Didn't work, let's restore it. Now if you see down towards the bottom, our signal load is slowly going up. Every time it increases by 10%. Up until you hit 80%, and it will say you have timed out, and you'll get a 30-minute timer. So I'm going to exclude that. Didn't work. I'm all the way up to 60%, so I really can't try this again. I have to get it right this time. So I'm pretty confident it's either this one or this one. Now it's tough to say. I'm going to go ahead and go with the smaller wavelengths, and I got it. Now I found a apocalypse. Now this apocalypse may or may not be right on the warp point. So I'm going to warp in at 0 on him.
Warp drive active.
Now let's see if we warp on top of him. I'm going to open up my enemies list and probably zoom out a little bit to get a better feel for this. So you usually won't spook a large battleship in a small frigate. But I am 27 kilometers away from him, and I can probably tackle him from that range. Double click, orbit, boost at him, and you want to tackle this baby. Alright, so we are going to scan and see what happens when we fail real quick. So you get your signal waves, you're picking your target. Oh, I want this one over here. We're going to analyze them, and let's say we just can't get the signal right. So this one is tougher, might be a medium-sized ship because it has 2 wavelengths. But let's just keep trying. It's like, oops, I messed this up. So my last attempt. So the operation is too frequent, and we get locked out for 3 minutes. You didn't get locked out from the other 3 scans that you potentially have. If you go back into that same one, well, this is a different one, but you can now go and scan somebody else. 1 noise length, and I got it on my first pick, and it's still the APOC. Now if we go into this one, this is the one we failed over there, resets in 150 seconds. We can also go to this one and see who's in this anomaly. Now your scans do not go away. Exclude 1 noise signal, we got it, a Condor Interceptor and a Raven. So we are going to go ahead and warp into this on 30 kilometers and see if we can tackle them.
Warp drive active.
Even though we missed one scan, we do have another ready. Now we are going to an unknown location. Now we are within the gate gun range here. So we found our frigate and our raven, but if you see those little blue things, we are next to gate guns, so you do not want to tackle them. You can also see the gate is within 35 kilometers, and there we go. Well guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just remember, when you're scanning something smaller than your own ship, it is really hard to figure out the wavelengths. In most cases, that ship has already been alerted and warping off. You can rescan to see if they're still there, to say the least. But hopefully these tips and tricks helped you out a little bit. I know figuring out the wavelengths is pretty hard. But you will get it down. They start to repeat after a while and you can get them fairly quickly. But popping the scanner off is extremely fun, especially when you go to scan and figure out what's in the system. This looks like it's something in the anomaly. Let's just go ahead and analyze it. Now, while you're analyzing, one other tip I have is I can one bang this pretty much, but I'm going to go like this. You can hit this refresh button and make sure it's still in the same place, or reanalyze it to make sure it's not gone. Now if we do it, source signature detected, it's still there, so let's uncheck this, and it should be that one right there. We got it. A Raven and a Apocalypse. So we know it's there now. But yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys out. Be sure to leave a comment if I had some incorrect information, or even some tips and tricks for other people that I didn't include in this video. I probably left 1,000 things out, but I'm getting pretty good at scanning. I'm killing tons of people, and I think you guys should get out there and kill some people as well. Alright, see you on the next one. Peace.